This is okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming, and thank you for Manfredo and Jiang who already make time to join us. Today's talk is more like a relaxed discussion, so this won't be any MCs or any protocols. So I will lead the first talk. I will be moderate the first talk, and I think to save time, I think we will start right away. I will introduce Jiang first. Jiang is a PhD candidate in architecture and planning, Faculty of Creative Art and Industries from the University of Auckland. She has 2 masters of architecture in China and New Zealand. One of her research talks about the architectural expression in cinema, which is very unique because Jiang thinks that along the development of information technology, the moving architectural image in film have increasingly become an important type of the discourse in architecture. The highly experiential characteristic of virtual reality have amplified people's demand of cognitive and creative content of architecture to produce spatial association that exceed the traditional understanding of the physical environment outside our bodies. This thesis aims to understand the form in which these emerging architectural associations are produced by analyzing a salient virtual reality series of movies, the Marvel sci-fi films produced in the last decade. That's a interesting topic that you take, Jing, architecture and film. Okay, without further ado, I think we can start. Jing, can you start your presentation?
Yeah,
Time is
okay,
yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is Jing, and as introduced by Roma, and there's a kind of echo. Yeah, thank you. So I'm now doing my major is architecture, and I'm now okay, thank you. I'm now doing my first year of doctoral study at University of Auckland with Professor Manfredo, and who is my supervisor. So I'll start sharing. Today I'm going to talk about my research. It's about spatial simulation. And I'm looking at a specific phenomenon, as actually not a specific phenomenon, but a very general phenomenon. But in the background of China, the contemporary China, especially the spatial restructuring in urban China. So in China, contemporary urban space has witnessed dramatic restructuring in the last 2 decades. It has been driven by reform and opening up policy in 1980s, which opened land use rights to market and introduced global capital to China. This exposed China's urban development widely to the capital market. And this situation has been upgraded in the 21st century after China joined the WTO in 2001. So since then, China is participated into a high speed and comprehensive globalization. And the promotion of global capital to Chinese urban development is accompanied by profound spatial restructuring of Chinese city. But what is happening in China is not a random or isolated phenomenon, but an evolving product of a periodic crisis and class struggle. David Harvey submitted that the spatial restructuring in China can be reinterpreted as a spatial fix. It is a significant reconstitution of spatial configurations functional to capital accumulation. Harvey argues that the process of capitalist development that shapes urban geography and the built environment is not linear, but need to fix ever-changing needs emerging in specific moments. As capital grows, the existing geography and built environment become, to an increasing extent, outdated and dysfunctional and a new and different geography is required to meet the changing need of capital. As there is a certain fixity in well-established urban geographies that does not allow easy changes at will, spatial restructuring is part of the spatial fix for addressing this situation. So what happened in China? They create a large quantity of themed space. Themed space has been created in urban spaces, especially in public spaces, as elaborate apparatus that can assert ties to the kind of city life that is in the process of being obliterated. It is extremely useful for spatial restructuring as it has the power to co-opt the traditional sense of urbanity to relegate them to mere intersections on a global grid for which time and space are obsolete. Here I showed a picture, and it's a picture of a restaurant in China. It's a local street themed restaurant as shown in this picture. All these old buildings in the restaurants, they are not real building, but just only a facade of these old buildings, and they are the decoration in this restaurant, in this themed restaurant, and the whole restaurant is at the end is in a high-rise building at the entrance of that. So they trying to use themed space to somehow fix these two kind of cityscape to fix the differentiation. Sorkin argues that the creation of themed space is urban renewal with a sinister twist, as it is oblivious to the real needs and tradition of those who inhabit it. Themed space is an independent performance and the opposite of dialogue. You can only see it, right? And it does not solve the contradictions and conflicts in spatial restructuring. It only embellishes it for further capital accumulation by creating a spatial simulation, a spectacle of a beautified ideal space and cultural consumption. This is due to the mechanism of theming. This is because theming is a process of ordering and symbolically marking environment. It creates desires both through immersion and use of imaginaries. So it offers both immersive authentic and imaginary inauthentic. And it aims not at forming accurate replication of reality, but at creating a spectacle that are desired by people. So in a workshop I joined this March, I did some research on themed space, and I take Starbucks as a case study. Why? It stems from a book named My Sister's Barista, How They Made Starbucks a Home Away from Home. It's kind of marketing propaganda, but I noticed some very interesting introduction from the inside flap of this book. It said, in 1995, I went on a coast-to-coast trip across the US. When we got to San Francisco, the sun was shining and people were relaxed. We wandered into a Starbucks, the first I'd ever been in. So what they see, they sat enjoying we sat enjoying our coffees and the buzz of conversation around us. And there's a willingness to share your life with the world that seemed particularly characteristics of California, and the overhead conversation ran like this. I like this place and I come here when I'm stressed out. So we kind of feel confused why people don't go home but go to Starbucks when they are stressed out, and how they make Starbucks a home, right? A home away from home. So it seems like another home besides our traditional home. How? So I think the complexity and the complexity of Starbucks is that it is a home-themed space. So it has double twists. Firstly, Starbucks, as a privately owned multinational company, its coffee shops, the spaces in the coffee shop, they are used for the company for their capital accumulation. But however, this space operates as a semi-public space that seems open, equal, and encourages cross-class association. And secondly, with very limited physical ingredients, Starbucks create a private sphere in a public space, which is not actually public. It creates a sense of belonging and protection. That's why people choose to go to Starbucks when they are stressed out. So there are double spatial simulation. Firstly, it is a simulation of a public space, as not all behaviors are allowed in Starbucks, such as demonstration or begging, right? And secondly, it is a simulation of a private space, as you have to pay to sit down, but you don't have to pay when you're at your real home. In addition, the spatial simulation in Starbucks is not a low-level spatial simulation, because this home theme space does not have enough material ingredient to support it. In Starbucks, except for the tables, chairs, and sofas, there's no domestic scene carefully arranged like what they do in IKEA, as shown in this picture. And there are only some ingredients that are unable to create that private spatial conditions and cannot create a spectacle. And nor had Starbucks led to cultural consumption, because as very clear that there are differences between people being attracted to Starbucks and to a Chinese themed restaurant, as shown in these two pictures at the bottom. The picture of Starbucks here, I choose is a picture of a Starbucks in Hangzhou, which is a very famous city in China. And one of the famous thing that in this city is the traditional fans. So in this Starbucks, they put lots of fans and with specific painting on it on the wall. So make it like a kind of thing, Hangzhou themed places, but it's different from Chinese restaurants. Like people would not go to Starbucks because they want to experience Hangzhou style, but people would choose to go to a Chinese restaurant because of the Chinese dining experience. So in Starbucks, it's not just create simulation, but create simulacra. And what's the difference between these two notions? They have very similar appearance as models that perfect existing places. However, they act in a very different way. Simulations display settings offered as references or inspiration. Simulations are typically found in furniture stores such as IKEA, while scenes of bedroom, living room, or dining room are offered to grant immersive experience. And simulacra penetrate in the everyday practice of people with a deep transformative power. They are typically found in basic amenities, such as the coffee house of Starbucks, while immersive experience become part of daily life, substituting and in some cases penalizating for or supplanting the venues of domestic activities. So in Starbucks, simulation have gradually assumed normative character. Key places of the home have been alienated, dislocated, fragmented, and financialized. Simulated with abstract reconstruction, miles away from home. Halls, rooms, and backyard have been mirrored across the boundaries of the home. Physical elements, daily practices, and narratives associated to the domestic have been refined, polished, and perfected. Clean, perfume, comfortable, safe experiential simulation for consumption have been produced. Simulacra, as a perfect model, has power of perception that can replace the original. This simulacra of domestic spaces displaces into the public realm, redefine the idea of domesticity to supplant the original formations. These simulations precede what is outside it, that is our traditional home. And this displaced home is a distribution of instances the displaced home is then a distribution of instances located here and there, and home become radically deterritorialized and recomposed in assemblages of dislocated elements and daily practices. This process of dispossession, functionalization, and alienation has been dramatically exposed during the COVID-19 lockdowns, shown by the surge in social media usage. When people had to stay at home, they felt deprived rather than belonging. It seems that we are not locked up at home, but outside of our home. That's because the annihilation of the city has also includes the disappearance of part of our home. Portions of domestic practices have been cut off. Eating, sharing a coffee, playing with family and intimate friends dislocated in semi-public spaces such as cafes and shopping malls have been negated. However, the observation of people's spatial practices in Starbucks revealed the emergence of a kind of resonance, which can be regarded as a counterforce against this alienation of people and people's traditional home. When home is deterritorialized by Starbucks to instances located here and there and some daily practices, it is also re-territorialized into a kind of home universe, home cosmos. Like here I take Marvel Cinematic Universe as example. I don't know if you watch Marvel movies, but if you watch that, you'll be very familiar with MCU. So here home is deterritorialized, just like home universe, just like a Marvel Cinematic Universe with different superheroes. And here the home universe have planetary homes. And so home now has a field of possibilities, become mobilized. It's a little bit different from MCU because the superheroes in MCU, they cannot just transform from one to each other, but this planetary home, they have the transformative power. And so here I take some picture from the movie Doctor Strange as example to simplify or to show or to make clear of this mobilization of home. It's quite similar to the superpower of cross-space transmission of Doctor Strange, but it's different because for Doctor Strange, the cross-space transmission is physical. But here it's not a physical transmission of your home, but it's the idea of home that is transmitted. It's no longer designated specific Starbucks stores, but every Starbucks store, which means even if you go out for travel, when you are in a strange country or in a strange city, once you step into a Starbucks store, you will be at home. That's kind of mobilization. So I'm thinking about two questions. First is, how is this system work, right? How to create a private sphere operating in a public space, which is not public, and how to create a home away from home with only some ingredients that are unable to create a private spatial conditions. And another question is, how does this system become mobilized, right? Become somehow constructed. So I got four phases for the mechanism. First, phase one is copy. Here, instances of public and private space practices and their symbols have been progressively transformed into a commodity. And domestic space has been reproduced and displaced into the public realm. How? Firstly, the financialized space is constructed as an assemblage composed of specific elements, which are all those physical ingredients, relations that connect and between these elements, and narrative as agents that help to build the relations, which operates by triggering people's active memory. Of course, this physical environment need people's spatial practices. Domestic space composed of domestic elements, relations, and narrative is reproduced in public realm to create an emotional value and strengthen occlusion between human beings and spaces, which means the first phase is done by the space itself and people's spatial practices together. And the second phase is reform. Here, the reproduction creates new models formed by self-referential signs, which are simulacra, aimed to supplant the original formations. These simulacra succeed in reforming and redefining the idea of domesticity. They made it by establish the new model as a standard. The reproduced domestic space as an assemblage is empowered a symbolic meaning beyond its original domestic function. And the third phase is replacement. Here, the simulacra displays private space in semi-private space that dispossesses the individual from their own domestic spaces. The distribution of semi-private commercial domestic spaces causes people's dependence on commercial providers, leading to an alienated nomadic lifestyles. So here, the replacement is finished. The mechanism is the symbolic meaning redefines the domestic elements, relations, and narrative, regenerating people's active memory. And the financialized public space realizes the guidance and domination of people's desires and an alienation of domestic space. So you can see during these three phases, people's spatial practices are very important. And it can be simply shown in this figure. Firstly, this red lady represents us, the consumers. And this little house is our original home or our idea of home. And the logo of Starbucks represents the dominant market forces implemented behind it. And somehow the Starbucks with coffee cups represents the Starbucks coffee store or coffee shops, the stores. And after the three phases, firstly, our traditional home is somehow deterritorialized and reterritorialized with some elements or relations and agents from Starbucks from this market site. And the Starbucks stores is become a themed space through theming. As here, what it presents is a perfect model of our home. Here, it offers both imaginary and authentic, which is home, is a Starbucks home in the stores, and immersive authentic, which is the very limited ingredients environment. And the spatial practices is in process during this upgrade. And one step further, the fourth phase, mobilization. Here, home becomes a planetary home with a field of possibilities, and it's done by reterritorialization. The distributed territories, which means the every Starbucks store, is combined and shared with each other to constitute a new unified whole. And this whole territory enhances the communication and association between different instances to form assemblage in larger scale. So finally, by creating assemblage in each Starbucks coffee shops and to make it normative, all the coffee shops, they can somehow relate it together, connected together into a larger scale of assemblage. And it can be shown in this figure. Here, this red frame and green frame behind represents the planetary home. So it's a cosmos universe of home, not a a specific store or a specific physical environment. So that's my research. So here, this is a picture of the Starbucks in Disneyland in Shanghai. And here you can say their logo is a community, a cup, a moment, coffee is togetherness. Well, this is simulacrum. Okay, thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you so much, Jiang.
Yeah.
I think that's a very interesting point about simulacra and how it can influence how we feel at home. That's very interesting. I mean, the Disney-fied spaces, I think, what we see mostly in the cities today, and interestingly, people are very drawn to it. So, okay, so I will open the Q&A session. We don't have a question in the chat box. I will invite any participant here. If you have any question, you can open mic. Just raise your hand, or probably just say hi to me right away. Meanwhile, while waiting them for probably still thinking about the question, I have a question for you. You talk about simulacra, and it's about capital. It's about how they kind of orchestrate what the capital owners have and want, and what's the importance of this simulacra in making a project that is more social oriented, and how that help in a sense of belonging of the people to that place that we want to make.
Fredo, you want to help me with this?
Thank you very much, Jing. No, I might probably reformulate the question, because I don't think that here there is a clarity as how this particular understanding or interpretation of a phenomenon, which is under all our eyes. I remember the last time I came to Bandung, I went with Eco to a place where there was a large meeting in the central city, and which is not far from that large square, the open space with the green carpet. I can't remember the name. It's a large place where there were convention and meetings, and we met some. I think it's an institution or something that has to do. I don't know if it's a hotel or something of the government. And then eventually I left and I went across the road, and there was a Starbucks shop. So Starbucks are everywhere. And we're talking of it exactly because its ubiquitous presence is something that gives you the chance to immediately understand the place, how it works, even if it is completely different from the kind of place that you're acquainted to. That kind of Starbucks in Bandung is a Starbucks which is in a very beautiful old building, quite large. So I think it's an Art Deco, so probably built in the 20s or in the 30s. And it works exactly, even though it's completely different in terms of how it appears, it works exactly like it works in many other places in which I've been, in airports, in cities around the world. And this is the interesting thing, because well, we have to start telling that Starbucks was actually a creation of an American entrepreneur who was particularly passionate about coffee shop. And this interesting coffee shop was particularly linked to his interest for the way in which coffee houses, or bars, we call it in Italy, are actually organized and function in Italy. So he came many times to Italy, and strangely enough, he didn't go to places which are famous in Italy for coffee, which are Naples and Trieste, a city close to Venice, Trieste and Naples in the south of Italy. But he went to Milan. Milan is not very famous for coffee. We drink a lot Coffee, yes, but we're not famous for coffee houses at all. But what is important in Milan is that the coffee that represents, in this case, the main thing that is traded in these coffee houses is something which punctuates that rhythms, provides a rhythm to our everyday life. I've been working in Milan at the Polytechnic di Milano, the Milan Technical University. Actually, I studied there, so I spent probably 20 years or more of my life in that institution. And this is located relatively close to the central city. My consumption of coffees was quite high, so say an average of 5 to 10 per day, but very small coffee. The Italian
Fredo, your
so
voice is interrupted.
now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's good
Hello?
now, but yeah,
All right.
it's good.
So what I was saying is that this use of this usage, that there's this tradition of drinking coffees is very particular and very important in the everyday life in Milan. It's not just having a coffee or sitting in a coffee for an hour or whatever it might happen in other places. So what is happening is that this extension of the Milanese culture into the world was exactly vehiculated through Starbucks. So before Starbucks, I couldn't get any espresso out of Italy, or was very rare to find one. Now I can go wherever I want and get my espresso. So that gives me a feeling of home. Now, looking at this one and looking at this Starbucks as it was created, it's quite interesting, because if you look at the original slogan, the original motto of the company was a home away from home, as Jing showed in that book on Starbucks. So what it means exactly? What is this idea of creating a home away from home? It's something that commercially is very easy. So essentially is something that substitutes or actually makes up for a lack, makes up for something which is missing. Talking with Jing, the most obvious example is when students spend sometimes 5, sometimes 8 years on a university campus where they have to stay there essentially the entire day, the entire semester until they go home, because usually there are integrated campuses in which there are dormitories as well as all the other facilities. So there's an obvious lack of an intimate space, a personal space, a space where you can have and share your experiences with your friends, your intimate, maybe even parents when they visit you. And so it is obvious that places like Starbucks make up for this lack. But this is a very obvious, if that is a very obvious example, the example I gave you when related to that particular travel that I had last time I came to Bandung, it probably can give you a sense of how that plays out on an incredible range of different opportunities. So a person visiting another university in a totally foreign country, or a person studying in a particular place for a long period of time and receiving his family or his friends from coming from other parts, or maybe studying on the same university, at the same campus. So this is, I guess, trying to address the question and answer to your one. So how can be socially creative or can socially productive a place which in reality comes from a very particular, very strong attempt to answer commercially to a lack which is present in our society. Now, of course, in a way here, the problem is that, as Jing was saying, we have a condition which is particularly interesting. So essentially, we have an incredible range of opportunities, which is what is designed with this empty blue green. No, what is blue or red? What is Jing? Can you share it again? Because we changed color in the last couple of days a few times. Can you share, please, the last? Here we go. So yes, that one. So what you see there as these two big houses, one in red, one in blue. Well, sorry, one in green. Now, the red house that you see at the center of the image is the house of ourselves, of this lady, of a lady that represents any one of us. Now, this house is a home, and indeed, there's the idea of the home, not the house, that he is represented as a house, but is actually the home, so the place where we feel at home, is something which in reality, through Starbucks in this case, has been moved out from the limits of the house itself, or the home, which is hosted in that building, in that house, and reproposed, repurposed. And I like the idea that Dr. Strange somehow can help understanding us being here and there at the same time, a cat of Cheshire situation, in which we can be at the same time here and there, dead or alive. And this is the possibility, so that emerges from a house that, well, still probably we can identify in some particular places where we live, but in reality that moves everywhere in the world, and we can somehow reconstitute or reaccess every time we want. Well, not every time, because Starbucks is not really everywhere, but in a way is somehow accessible in the largest places, the largest cities, and the largest airports and whatever that we visit. The other one, so which is the greenhouse, is the house of Starbucks. In reality, what is happening is that Starbucks creates all these potential places where we can appropriate and create a small instance that might last 1 minute, that might last 1 hour, that might last 2 hours. Usually we can stay at Starbucks with no limit, as long as we consume at least one coffee. And this is exactly the trade here. So on one hand, there is Starbucks who offers us this incredible possibility. On the other hand, there is us that are able to make of this possibility something else than just a space of consumption. It becomes exactly a place that we appropriate for a very small instance, but still is a form of appropriation. What is happening is that, of course, this is just an attempt to reason on what is happening with these homes, because the home that we have, so the red one, is actually not our one. So we don't have any agency there. We cannot go there and bring our staff. We cannot go there and bring our friends. We cannot go there and organize a party. Well, simply because this is not us. It's private, but private is not our private, but is the private ownership of Starbucks Corporation based in Seattle. So in a completely different house, in a completely different place on Earth. So this is quite an interesting situation, because it not only shows us how some particular commercial developments are offering us the possibility of moving towards something different from what we've been used for centuries, for millennia. So the house is a particular place within 4 walls and cannot move from there. So it can create this sort of planetary home, but at the same time, it shows us that we have to do something, because these places have to be appropriated. So if you go back to my first lecture that I gave a couple of days ago, this is exactly what I was saying at that time, that without the capacity, the agency, the force, and essentially all these elements that allow this particular instance of domesticity, of self, of this red woman that manifest and create this moment of appropriation, this space remains a place of complete exploitation, a simulation of a home that in reality is done on total commercial purposes. So I think I took a lot for a long answer, but I took my time because I was seeing that there were not many questions. There are actually 3 now.
Yeah, I think I will invite Agus if you want to make any comments or a question.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you, Manfredo and Jing. In the other gadget, I also arranged the meeting with the local public market management, and I talked with him that we still in discussion the global and local relationship. So I'm very interesting on Jing presentation, and my student is they have to intend to exercise the ideas of globalization, ideas of assemblage, ideas of simulacra, etc., into the design. And in your presentation, I insert that the local and global whatever design or the capital. Yeah? So the local community have their economic, social, and cultural capital. So it can be, in my term, is assembled through design, or maybe mediating through design, whatever your term that you use. But how can you explore how to implement it into built-in from the design? Because my student intended to exercise the thinking into built-in from design, a physical design. Thank you, Jing.
Jing, I give you an advice. Jing, I give you an advice because this question from Agus is really complicated.
I also invite her to more discuss with our student. It's not too easy to interpret it into the practical design, but very interesting and very challenging.
So Jing, maybe maybe you have a different way of doing it, but I give you a hint of a way in which you can try to answer this question. What we can do as designers. And this is showing that project, if you have anything left, that was done with the University of Florida and the other group and the other universities a few months ago. Do you still have a presentation of something you can show beyond that single drawing that we've seen in your presentation? If you have something on your computer, it might be good to give it a quick explanation of how design can address a problem like this and come up with a solution.
Okay. Actually, I think the technological advances is a good example. But okay, if you mentioned about that workshop, yeah, that's a good example. I have to find that very quickly. Yes.
So while you're finding it, I can probably I try to buy a bit of time so you can find the images. I give you a bit of framework of a background of this exercise. So the project was a project in which students were asked to think at domesticity and how domesticity has changed, in particular during COVID. So the problem was to see what was happening and how, in a way, COVID has highlighted a new way of the home becoming not only the place for our, how can I say, recreation and whatever it is, rest, but it's becoming something else, because we know we all used to work from home, we all used to socialize from home, and the home became much more than just a home, but our public and private space at the same time. Okay, so you have images, you can go now.
Yes, this is the outcome of the workshop I attended in March, and we make a picture of a very famous building in Jakarta, but not familiar to me, because it's a cooperation project with students from University of Indonesia. So they take a very famous building, which is a commercial high-rise building in Jakarta, but somehow we use it as our home. So as shown in this picture, we try to integrate the ingredients or different instances of our home into this high-rise building. Here you can see it's the bathroom, right? We got bathtub and a stairs, which is a creative works. And here we have bedrooms, which can be shared and with digital screens on the wall, and living room as well. We can watch movie here together, and dining room, which can be used to make videos for TikTok. Like there are many short videos on TikTok that people will teach other people how to cook or how to share the recipe. And of course, greening ingredients.
But Jing, probably here there's something that you might want to articulate and to explain.
Yeah.
which is this Doctor Strange phenomenon, right? Because all these spaces were not only designed for people working or enjoying or sleeping or whatever in place, but what is the Doctor Strange phenomenon?
But it's how it can be constructed and through spectacle of media. And here, home can give space for public activities virtually during pandemic through spectacle of media, but still maintain the existence of private space. It also shows how the combination of basic function space does not only contain in one function, but it can accommodate 2 or 3 functions in just one room. So here we expand the functions, make it polymies, and it's kind of creative works. And actually, I think another example case is the technological advances. That it's a case that can be used to explain how this capital, global or local desire or capital that can be used to be assembled to our building environment, right? Because just imagine a commercial a shopping mall, which is a commercial semi-public space, and people consume in this space, but somehow their behaviors will be collected and calculated because of those technological advances like big data or social media. Once you send a picture on social media with a location, this information will be collected and in turn to calculate other people like you, the behavior of that. So people in a shopping mall, they are consumers, but at the same time, they are producers. They produce data and by consuming it. So, and this data collected will be further developed the marketing strategies to make more advertisement to attract more people to consume here. So I think that's another example that can be used to explain this collaborative behavior.
So if you zoom again in this farm reconstruction, that corner, not the one on the top, not the one before with the 2 rooms, which is probably more clear, this one here. What we see here, and that's, I guess, something that can be used also for this project in Majalengka, is the attempt to deal with this new form of presence that the new technology is allowing us to create. Where we have seen the question of Starbucks as a sort of physical element, which is there in brick and mortar, cannot be moved, are real coffee houses. But what was done here is something that was an experiment to see really how these coffee houses can become not only planetary because they are everywhere, and we can find them almost in any big city which we visit, but because these places can be accessed also in a different way. So that planetariness, so that the capacity of being in different places and maybe at the same time is exactly the ones that allow us to participate and be present, but not physically, but in terms of avatars. So what you see, the people here, when you look at these people, these are not actually a representation of real people, but is a representation of an avatar. So with the idea that a particular place in this tower, in this case was a tower in Jakarta, is a tower that is not a tower like our Starbucks. If there was a Starbucks there, which can be accessed only from people living there, but can be accessed in a digital way using the new technology, as Jing was saying now. So now what is happening is exactly this particular condition. So if you think at the Majalengka and the possibility that a place like that one has to develop and make it possible to whoever you wanted to access it from wherever, not only from people living in Majalengka itself or from neighboring cities like Bandung, but from the entire world, give them the possibility to access them, but not only access through what we have now, the easiest way to access, which is Google Street View or whatever, but access in real time. Then what we can do is to imagine to have spaces like the one that were designed here in this short workshop done in last March, of places that can be accessed in multiple ways, can be accessed in reality, can be accessed in virtuality. But this virtuality is a real access. So I access with my physical, with my representation of the physical body, possibly even with the capacity or the possibility the new technology allow us to somehow enact, which is the possibility of touching and maybe feeling things with our senses, even though we are in the other side of the world. I'm saying this because I think that this creative development of Majalengka is something that can exactly engage with this new form of globalization, planetarization that the new technology can allow us to use and to activate. The most obvious example is the Taobao villages and towns in China, where all of a sudden we can access remote villages that we never had the idea that they existed through, in this case, this particular platform, which is a platform of Alibaba. Now, the access there is just an access for particular purposes, which is actually purchasing objects. But what is interesting is that this Taobao system works on streaming. So that it is not going on a virtual store where we select projects and we buy them, but all of a sudden we have this participation in the process of whatever it is, production or usage of these objects that of course now is mediated by a screen, mediated by our phone or our computer or whatever, but still gives us the chance somehow to move into that reality.
Awesome. That's very interesting point and very elaborated, long explanation. I think that's interesting to combine the technology and how we make space as we want, as to feel like home and to create connection with the people. I think. Thank you, Jing, for the awesome presentation, and good luck with the thesis. The dissertation writing. I think hope probably you can share more insight probably later when we have another event here. Thank you again, Manfredo, for joining. I think we are going to go to another session that is a bit different topic, I think, because this one comes from Jatiwangi Art Factory, the representative of the local people in Majalengka. Okay, before I say hi to the speakers, thank you again, Jing and Manfredo. I think if you want to leave, then feel free. I mean, anytime.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us, Roro, and thank you for all the others for participating intensively.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move to another section. We already have Pak Ahmad Sujai and Pak Ismal Muntaha. Can I say hi to them? Hello. How are you guys?
Halo Mbak Roro.
Hello, Pak Ahmad Sujai. How are you?
Good, Mbak.
And we have Pak Ismal Muntaha. So these two people are representative of JAF, Jatiwangi Art Factory, that will share a bit about what they have done in Jatiwangi and how they try to reinvent it and activate people's sense of belonging to terracotta through many events. So are you going to share screen, or you want to just discuss or probably talk here?
Yeah, need to share screen, Mbak.
Okay, all right, but you can prepare on that. Before that, I will introduce a bit about JAF. Since 2006, Pak Ismal and Pak Sujai in Jatiwangi have used JAF Gallery as a media to push the creative process of resident through collaboration. The exhibition in JAF Gallery will establish over time a new pattern of transaction of how knowledge is distributed and how society awareness is raised. The last luxury things in the life is thinking. Jatiwangi people will no longer need to go to the city anymore to gain knowledge. That's an interesting point. So I think without further ado, I will please you to have your presentation. Time is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Mbak Roro. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Ahmad Sujai. I'm from Jatiwangi, and I'm with Ismal Muntaha here. Ismal is an artist and also curator, also researcher from Jatiwangi. The focus is on researching about the clay culture in Jatiwangi. So, and then Ismal will share about what we are doing and what is the focus of JAF works in Jatiwangi, which can be result in agreement with the local people in Jatiwangi, and then also with the government about the idea of the terracotta city as a concept for city development in Majalengka. So maybe Ismail can start the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Jai. Hello, also everyone. It's really pleased that we can join in this meeting, and actually, it's more. Hopefully, it not can be a formal presentation. It's more like maybe like more like a discussion. So if in the middle of my presentation there is some question or like interrupt, it's really it's okay for us. I will start to share my screen. Okay. Yeah, so I'll start with our favorite food here in Jav, like gado-gado, because this is like a very diverse food, and now biodiversity is quite important, especially after this pandemic situation for our common future. But then also the gado-gado also sometimes for us is kind of describing what is Jav, because it's always hard to answer like so what is Jav is because we are a family actually, like this is the main family, like this is Arif with the white shirt, the founder, and also his mother, like also the biggest funding actually for us, because he give us a space, her home, her food, her gado-gado to allow us to us energy for our daily life activity. And sometimes you are just people who hang out in the rooftop factory, because Jav is also located in the rooftop factory. And sometimes we are like a gangster, because Arif brother actually like local heroes, or in Indonesia we call it preman, and then it's makes Jav more easy to intersect with the local stakeholder, because Ginggi Arif brother is very well known. For example, in this board, so it's the vice mayor, so like we hang out together with them, and or sometimes a bunch of people who just hang out in here in Jav. So basically Jav is already become a public space before Jav is founded. And yeah, at least for us, Jav is random like gado-gado, but then it's delicious. But then Jav is in Jatiwangi, so I will tell a bit a story like Jatiwangi, and then this randomness actually have an organic and dynamic from, I think it's also, we see this as a methodology actually to embrace our daily life, what happened in our daily life, in our situation, that make us can be space for everyone. Also Jav can be a space for everyone, and also can be making friends with everyone, and that I think it's for us it's kind of the methodology. So once upon a time in Jatiwangi, like there is a sugar factory actually, during the colonial times, the Dutch make a sugar factory, a very huge sugar factory. And then, they changed the landscape of the rice field into the sugar cane farms. And during that time also, actually this sugar factory also as the first monument for the first investment wave in Indonesian history, like the first liberalization of Java, and then Jatiwangi at that time is part of that. So since beginning, Jatiwangi already become part of the global economy. And but then this law, also this sugar factory also evoked the rooftop industry, because at that time, like to avoid the forced labor, actually you need to pay with money. And then at that time as well, 1905, the first rooftop factory founded. And yeah, this is still, of course, a rough observation, but then probably rooftop factory as a reaction against the colonialism, but it still need further. Uh, but then the rooftop factory become after independence, and also become the new industry of from the local in Jatiwangi. And then it makes it's starting to going to the peak of during the New Order era, like at the 70s, when the New Order policy about the public housing, it makes the demand of the rooftop, it's increasing massively. And so for people of Jatiwangi, making rooftop is like making money, like. And then suddenly a lot of roof tiles factory everywhere, and then a lot of new rich people everywhere, and Jatiwangi economy becomes stronger. That's the golden era, like 80s until 90s, late 90s. Yeah, but then one of the example, like the Indonesian International Airport, like Soekarno-Hatta, also the roof tile is from Jatiwangi. And then maybe you can check, if Indonesia, you can check the houses, probably the roof tile is from Jatiwangi. And but then this golden era also changing the social relation or landscape in Jatiwangi, for example, because a lot of rich people, so lots of nuking, and then they have very unique hobby, like $100,000 chicken fighting, or like a village chief gambling. And then this is also the era of the broker of roof tiles, and then a village fighting. That's at that time because the competition is very tense. And then but then after the monetary crisis, and they slowly declining, and until now, like from 100 600 rooftop factory, now like maybe 150, but maybe now it's more or less again. But 100 years after, in the middle of declining of the rooftop factory, 100 years after the first rooftop founded, there is a new factory called Jatiwangi Art Factory. It's very coincident, actually, the year of Java founded, but then maybe it's also a sign, like the cosmological sign, that this new factory will mean something, hopefully. That's why if there is someone asking, like for example, student who do their final paper, like what is the Java vision, it's always hard for us to answer, because sometimes we just say that our vision is very noble. But then of course for us also it's hard from our perspective, who the people who live in here in Jatiwangi, it's always hard to creating awareness in the depth way, because we are not expert, but we are the community itself. Because and also if always awkward for us if someone say Jatiwangi kind of empowering the society, or this the word of empowering itself for us is make us awkward, because because we are the society itself. And then like Jatiwangi working for the community is also kind of the not too comfy, actually, for us, because we are only surviving as the community. But then because if we see in that perspective, like for example see in that creating awareness, or like enlightening the society, something kind of that, it will be make us have a distance with our neighborhood. So that's why people sometimes know Jav only as a Gingi or Alif families. Like we never start our conversation with our neighborhood like we are from art collective, we are from community, blah blah blah. It's always hard. But then, so what we can do actually is make a speculation about our village or our area, Jatiwangi, through the imagination. And the first imagination for us is actually we imagining our soil that already shaped by a lot of industrial landscape from the colonial times until like New Order times. But then at least for us, soil is a dignity. That's the first imagination that we imagine. So since that we try to romanticize everything regarding clay, soil, and land and or earth. It's interesting because in Indonesia, in Bahasa, we only have one word tanah, which means clay, soil, land, and earth. And yeah, and in also for us, we see this as a strategy to or as yeah, to creating a new mythology, because it's important now to adding new identity for Jatiwangi, which is already in the middle of declining, and our rooftop industry is slowly bankrupt, let's say. And so what we do to we make a music. Actually, it's very simple. Like, so the rooftop that usually see in the roof now is we playing as an instrument and making song together, inviting neighborhood to singing together, make a concert in a block in the village with the neighborhood. So it is important to build again or to reconnect again a togetherness as people who live in Jatiwangi. And yeah, also we kind of make a special roof tile. For example, like we made a roof tile testament, like we make a roof tile for the people who inspiring the village, like a trophy. And then so if you come to Jatiwangi and you see there is a roof tile with this kind of trophy, you should knock that door because that's the one who inspiring the village. And yeah, after the long period of become the industrial area, I think it's also I think it's, yeah, for us it's also important to limbering this industrial rhyme. That's why like we invite we invite people, our friend, like Arif friends, also like because Arif was an artist, so it's easy to invite a friend, and then the friend inviting friend again, like to come to Jatiwangi, and from various places in the world, like suddenly make a festival. And it's, I mean, this festival also of a very organic, and we just asking our neighborhood to give one room to our friend to stay, and then our friend as well very we ask them to become a good guest. And so that's the starting of Jav. And then yeah, after that we make a festival every 2 years, and like the point is like make excitement together. So yeah, what Jav offering is make excitement together, meeting people from everywhere to here and make excitement together. And this excitement is kind of the foundation to imagining new Jatiwangi. To embrace again our landscape, our togetherness. And yeah, this is, so it become contagious. After one festival we make again another festival every 2 years, and then even make another festival like Village Video Festival. We invite the video maker from several countries as well to come to here to see Jatiwangi from their perspective, because sometimes what we see everyday life uh, from someone who newcomers, it will be different, and then we will find the new important things that we usually not seeing. And but then Jatiwangi as well also in the mid of our imagination to imagining Jatiwangi, also there is other parties also in this context is the government also imagining Jatiwangi as a new things, and then what they imagining actually make a Jatiwangi as the new industrial area, and yeah, they offering a Jatiwangi landscape or etc. like as the new industrial area, and then inviting a lot of investor to come. This is one of the example that this is before the rooftop factory, but then now changing into the shoes factory. It actually is Nike factory, and then it can be have like 50,000 workers now, already 5,000. But then this is the biggest Nike factory in Southeast Asia probably, and yeah, so you can see also the factory is really become new neighborhood with our houses, with neighborhood. So beside this is the school, and then this is the house of our neighborhood. Suddenly there is a new neighbor, like a big rooftop, a big factory. Like this is the textile factory, and so this is the imagination from the government to make Jatiwangi as part of the Golden Triangle for the new industrial area, and there will be, they say there will be like 10 new cities that will build here, like, and then it's supporting by the harbor and to harbor, and then also international airport, and then there is new highways passing through our village built. And so from that situation also, that's why in the beginning I mentioned like Jeff kind of the very organic and tandem, because we always facing the transformation situation, for example, at that time. So also it's affect that how we are dealing with our everyday life, and so and then at that time, so probably it's also now it's also a good moment to offering new ritual. For example, like we see the highway as our new neighbor, and also we made another ritual for making firing some terracotta object beside roof tiles, and we invite imams to come to and fire it while it praying while it fire it. This kind of activity for us is important to build again the relation between us who live in Jatiwangi with our resources, with our main resources, which is clay or soil. And because we don't want again trapped into the only economic relation like our past with the roof tile industry. So the idea of how to say, like, yeah, the cultural ownership also now come up to as the foundation. Yeah, this is one of the documentation of the rituals, and yeah, this is the Camat. Camat is the head of the district, also be part of this ritual, and also the student. So the student making new object like this, like clay flute, and then we fire it together, and then we praying it together. And also we in the term of the agriculture, because Jatiwangi also quite have a lot of rice fields, so we made what we call a supernatural farming, or like yeah, supernatural with some new ritual. And so for example, because in Jatiwangi there is a lot of religious activity based on the mosque, in the mosque, like solawatan or like tahlilan. So we just connecting or expanding this religious activity that usually only happen in the mosque, but then also expanding into the some agriculture. So before it planted, we praying first the seed, or like we bring the seed to the mosque to pray it. This is also the way of how to build again the relation, because as we know, farming also now become the industrial activity or economical activity. And yeah, when we invited, because so many artists come curator to Jeff, so Jeff also suddenly becoming part of in the map of global contemporary art. But then so yeah, we always inviting in some contemporary art event like bienal, triennial. This is when we invited in Taiwan in ASEAN Art Biennial. But then the question is how to connecting our what we do locally and also in the term of globally. So for this exhibition, we proposed to the museum that, okay, because now in Jatiwangi a lot of investors from Taiwan, so we proposed to them, we want to meet the investor. So the project is make a business meeting with the investor, because yeah, as we know, investor someone that very mysterious, right? We never know who is he, and but suddenly they make a factory, huge factory in our village, but then we only can be a worker there. It's hard for us to negotiate directly. So at that time, we proposed to make a business meeting and presenting the supernatural farming. If you want, let's say in simply ways, like if you want to invest in Jatiwangi, let's do in our way with supernatural farming. And then it's streaming, and then our neighborhood also watching the business meeting. So yeah, and the local newspaper suddenly like make a headline for that. And it is also another ritual to anchoring the Jatiwangi as the terracotta city. And yeah, we try to embrace more with our soil, like inviting artists to come to and exploring our material quality to another type of product or diversification beside roof tile. Like there is some artists from Poland making clay soap, making Lego brick, making even perfume, and also the cookies. And yeah, and also in the midst of decline of roof tile, which we want to uh, make us more confidence. It's like making a roof bodybuilding a roof tile contest for the roof tile worker. So yeah, at least we can show that we still vital as the local industries. And the peak moment for us is, or the climax moment for us, like when 11,000 people gathering together and ringing our soil together in the one tradition that we create called Rampak Genteng. And suddenly at that time we feel like we are connecting as a one family, because the soil that usually the soil or the land that we live, even probably in the future we will die in that soil, and then the soil that we made for the roof tiles now is like connecting us with when we are ringing the roof tile, it's connecting us as one family. And yeah, also this kind of uh, people come and go to here also give us opportunity to expand the friendship, from the friendship into some more strategic relation. For example, this when we inviting to some exhibition in Netherlands, we propose also to maybe we want meet with the mayor, or at least the cultural department, and then we want make a bilateral agreement. So, and this is one of the bilateral agreement between Jatiwangi and Hofen, and then it also become contagious to have a lot of relation. For example, with West Yorkshire, we connecting West Java with West Yorkshire, and then we see this art can have how to say, like we can use art as the strategic tool to imagining new diplomation, not only starting from government to government, but then from the community, but then slowly also reaching the government, and then come back again to the community. Yeah, this is one of the example. Before it new imagination, our how to say, our network is only like around the roof tile ecosystem, like with the depot, with the consumer, with the contractor, or with the materials shop, or with the bank. But then after new imagination, yeah, then the networking is getting, even we have a chance to meet the president, and then their staff also come to our Rampak Genteng event. And yeah, the creation is like also, yeah, from this, like maybe we can also start to thinking about the new development model from what we do, like, because when the development model, like theoretically, ideally, and strategically, the agent is all either state or the development agent. So probably now is also yeah one example how community can be a subject for the development. And yeah, this is one of the dimension of Jatiwangi, like from the colonials development and the new order development, and now like new industrial development. And yeah, and what we understand from what we did is like probably is to see how its material can be subjectivity as well, have a subjectivity. And like so like the new ritual or the new product, it can be also seen as a new device or like new inscription device, and also as part for how we can assemble again our cultural value, and also understand again our material quality, which is very important in the term of also talking about the sustainable model. And yeah, from what we do, like from the limbering, the industrial rhymes, also creating new mythology and offering new ritual, as well as also crystallize in the how we also as people who live in Jatiwangi actually can negotiating our space. That's why we proposing to have long-term aspiration called Kota Terracotta. And then we also still believe in how art also can be kind of organic tools to make a frog leap this for the negotiation. Because if we use the formal way, like for example in village meeting, like in Indonesia we have musrembang, like village meeting, like district meeting, it will be very tough and very complex and very, but then with art we can have a frog leap. And we invite artists, and even we invite a governor, the West Java governor, as a artist in our event. And also the artists, that what we interesting to see, artists always have a new how to say, like new perspective, and also new ways how to communicate. And this is one of the example, like this is one of artists that we invited, and then they make kind of the project is like make a meeting with the planner department, but then using the artistic approach, using the clay map, and then also adding the personal memory, etc. And it's quite interesting to see another perspective in the term of talking about the community development. And yeah, this is one of the documentation how we invite artists to exploring again our material regarding the Kota Terracotta for the diversification product, because we imagining we want to have a city or like a places that built by us, from also from our soil. So that's why we need a lot of diversification of the products. And yeah, this museum, and then it crystallized in the new regulation, and then Jatiwangi it signed it by the governor as the new cultural area, call it Kota Terracotta. And now it already written in our master plan, city master plan. So it's already become as the agenda for the revision of the Majalengka master plan. So you can see before it's only this one, but then now there's new one here. Number 7 is Jatiwangi as the Kota Terracotta. I think I will stop from here. So maybe we can continue in discussing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Ismail. So that's for the presentation, right? So Pak Jai will not. Okay. All right. So we can continue to the next part, which is the discussion. Before that, I would like to highlight how JAF have helped to reimagine the identity of Majalengka. Although Pak Ismail mentioned that it was difficult, it's been difficult to create a sense of belonging of the people, especially when it's come from outside, not them. That's the homework for JAV, and probably something that we can propose in the workshop. So I think we would like to open the Q&A session. We still don't have question in the chat box. I will invite anyone if you want to comment on or probably ask something to Pak Ismail and Pak Jai. Anyone?
I want to ask some question to Pak Ismail. So if I look at JAV's social media accounts, many activities are take place in Jebor Hall in Jatisura village, right? Do you or JAV community in the future have any plans to make activity centers like that again in another villages, or only plan to do that centered in Jatisura village?
Jai,
yes, feel free. I think here the session is more relaxed. So if you want to agak campur bahasa Indonesia, it's alright. If that's gonna help convey the message, please.
Dulu.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, even before it's we like every festival, it's always distribute in our village neighbor. Like for example, our 2008 festival is like located in the 7th village. So there is in one festival there is kind of the 7th festival, because like there is 20 artists come and then stay in 7th village and then making something together with the people in that village. So but also interesting because now Jebor Hall is actually our new building. And then people also now starting to see us more official, like, because with new building, because before it's the rooftop factory, and then it's make people more easy to come to hang out. Now it's like yeah, that's also interesting for us to see when we change into a new building, like have a design. That's why now why we always make not always, I mean quite often to make activity in Jebor Hall, because to break down again the distance, so people can more easy and more hang out. And also yeah, what we did as well, I think for the next few months with Agus and the gang with the village center in Jatisura also, I think it's yeah, as part of how to distribute again or activating again the public space in the village. And interesting when we see the design is kind of the accommodate the village hall, or activate again a village hall as the melting spot for everyone in the village. I think Jai, maybe you want to add something?
Enough, I.
Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you. I hope that answered you, Fifi. And we already have another question here from Zahrul. I think I will read it. Does JAV have any educational relationship with local citizens? What role does JAV and their artists have toward art education and public art in the community? So do you touch the side of educational part from this terracotta production? please.
Yeah, but then it's not kind of in the way of how to say, like like I mentioned in my beginning presentation, not like education in the more
In a
didactic
formal
way.
sense.
Yeah, in a didactic ways, but then to make Java as a place for learning together, because for example, it's happened to me, and maybe I don't know, Jai as well, I guess. Like I learn how, like for example, artistic practice can be also a very diverse and also can intersect in the social daily life, even also can be seen as the tools for imagining new model of development. For example, it's a new thing for me, and then I learned that from Jeff, from the educational relation in Jeff is more like we learn from our body.
Ismail is interrupted. I think the connection. Probably Pak Jai can add something while waiting Pak Ismail.
Yeah, in the past of Jiang, we like Jiang is not a center of the art without the institution in Jatiwangi about the art, and then also without the audience in the Jiang, and that's why we trying to make a Jatiwangi like how to art can be useful to the daily life, and then we try to make the our audience like for example in the first of Jav, we make the happiness with our neighborhood or etc, and then like we starting from the happiness, what we can do, or what we can try to transfer the and then also what we can to communicate how we do in Jav, how we have the idea of the try to reimagining the new identity of the city or our place, and then starting with the giving the happiness to the people, and then after that we're trying to expand it to make the new identity, and then after the new identity becomes with the terracotta city idea, and as a concept of the development development city, maybe.
Okay, so basically there is no formal education. I mean, kind of like pelatihan or apa, nggak ada ya? Or ada tapi dalam bentuk apa misalnya?
Kita punya beberapa program yang sifatnya bulanan, tahunan, and then, bienal, trienal, dan di setiap event bulanan kita punya satu event diskusi, itu rutin mengundang warga, mengundang pemerintah untuk membicarakan satu hal yang lagi happening gitu, lagi menjadi fokus Jav untuk didiskusikan bersama warga-warga. Nah, pengetahuan mungkin disebar di situ, tapi bukan dalam bentuk pelatihan yang secara formal, tapi dalam bentuk diskusi. Bagaimana kita sharing pengetahuan, sharing pengalaman, dan lain sebagainya. Juga dalam berbagai event yang Jav punya, seperti residensi, kami selalu tandemkan seniman ataupun peneliti yang datang ke Jav itu dengan beberapa tetangga kami. Contohnya kami di Village Video Festival, kami coba sebar ke beberapa desa seniman partisipannya, terus berkolaborasi dengan warga secara otomatis, walaupun tidak ada forum untuk mengajarkan warga, tapi di situ warga dan partisipan saling diskusi dan apa namanya, saling tukar pengetahuan di situ. Jadi bukan dalam
formal pelatihan or okay. All right, following up on that, I think I will have another question. This for just to confirm because you already have around. Oh, we have Pak Ismal back. Hello.
Halo, sorry.
It's alright. Tadi pertanyaannya sudah dijawab aja ya untuk yang pendidikan. So I have another question, just to know the progress that you have made this time because you were established in 2005 and 2005, right? If not mistaken. So how along these years, what you did have that given the people, you know, like a new consideration or a new appreciation of terracotta. Just imagine if Jav is now gone from Majalengka, from Jatisura. Will they proceed with all the event, with all the rituals by themselves, or is it still have to be initiated by Jav? And how that I just want to know, because you already invite many artists from outside Indonesia and then make new products, how that implemented in the Jabor's production in a day-to-day basis.
Wow, very hard question.
Sorry, but I mean, this is very interesting to know the progress of the people right now in this point.
Yeah, actually, if we talk with Gingis, with Arif, like actually Gingi and Arif is like our parents because they are the oldest in our family. So yeah, they always say that Jav vision actually bubar. Bubar, how to say in English? Like
dismiss.
Dismiss. Actually, the Jav itu adalah bubar gitu. The Jav vision actually like dismissed or maybe only become a legend. Like yeah. That question is also makes me thinking to how to say, like the idea of how we see the sustainability concept. I mean, in terms of the project, because now like people are always asking how this project will sustain, how this project the program will sustain, will continue. For us, we more like, I mean, to thinking that because we stay there in Jatiwangi. I mean, with or without job, we will stay there as a family, there as people. So yeah. Also, if you come to Jatiwangi and you asking about like random people about the terracotta, kota terracotta, I'm sure they will not recognize that. I mean, but then when you asking about Rapang Genteng, probably they will. So what I want to say in here, like, so what we do is not coming from the, we will not start with the idea, with the narration, how to convince people, but then we starting with how we can also ask people who live Jatiwangi and through our body can doing first, or like yeah, like with that's why we believe art can be a performative tools, because if we say in that way, like we should make kota terracotta because blah 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 blah, it will be make half distant. But then when we starting with the let's make Rapak Genteng, and then suddenly people have new confidence, that's for us more important. And like very interesting when if you come to Jatiwangi, probably people will more known Jav as the radio, or sometimes like a very lot of perception about Jav. And Gingi is also the famous one who well known. When you asking Jav, probably people not really recognize, but then when you asking Gingi's house, oh yeah, Pak Gingi, something kind of that. So Yeah.
And about the product that itu yang sudah dibuat oleh artis itu, apakah sudah ada yang diimplement?
Yeah, that's kind of the what we now we really see that as a homework, because it's connecting with the how to say the new the new model of cultivate our resources. That's why for example, we're talking with Agus and the gang to also because when we develop new product, also we need how this product it will be using, and then when come like Agus like let's make a renovate the village hall, and then it's more easy to us to talk with to the neighbor, like not there is a new demand there is a new demand for make alun-alun, you should make this. It's more easy rather than we talk in that let's make new product because it's very good, it's very sustain, blah blah blah. But then this is the order, for example, this is the demand, do that, and then it's more it will be more sustain or more continuing. Yeah, that's why also now like the Kota Terakota idea, like adopting by the Majalengka government as the theme for their development infrastructure for the next years. So maybe there is, so like they said, like all the public spaces in Majalengka should using terracotta. So it will make a sense for us to
Pak Ismal is interrupted again.
Yeah, and also we for now, after a lot of artists come to Jatiwangi and then make something for the research, and then now we have the implementation about that, and then we have for now we have like 9 or 10 studio, like a laboratorium research for the product, like for the design or for the clay or for the material clay in Jatiwangi. And then I think just for now just have 9 studio laboratorium studio. And then the roof tile factory is not, if the roof tile factory want to make a new product, maybe we must have the where the product can be distributed, because you know the pengusaha nggak mau ambil resiko gitu buat riset, karena biaya riset mahal. Jadi kita yang bantu untuk riset. Setelah kita riset dan punya bentuk yang baru, kita baru tawarkan ke pabrik genteng seperti itu, Mbak, untuk sekarang.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Jai. We still waiting for Pak Ismal to come back. Katanya mati lampu di situ. Saya nggak paham bener ya. Alright, I invite other students, other participants, if you have any question, because this is a very beneficial moment if you want to get information about Majalengka, about Jatiwangi.
I have question.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
And Nadia Prashanti, silahkan.
Yeah. Thank you for a great explanation about the JEF vision. Indeed, I think we need local hero in every city, I guess. But I just can't stop wondering what made JEF desperately fight for this terracotta city movement. I was just curious, what benefit you got from this, from romanticize the soil as your identity? Maybe relation, pride, or money? I sorry, I didn't mean to offend anyone, but I think we need to integrate our mission to do this workshop. Does JEF just only want to build identity, or JEF more concerned with maintaining and developing the roof industry, where people nowadays have started to reduce the use of terracotta roof? Because if you want to develop the industry, maybe we need to think what terracotta product is happening this day, not only in Majalengka but in another place, and what customer to wants to buy, and how we can influence others to use the terracotta product. Thank you.
Okay, interesting question from Nadia. So what actually the benefit that you aim to get by doing all this heavy stuff, you know, like making events and everything? So please, Pak Jai.
We believe that we made something, we can have the royaltinya adalah pahala, Mbak. Yeah, we believe that, and then we thinking about we have a something with the how we create the festival or something, but we preparing for the future, for the next generation, like you know, Jatiwangi is a small city, is not in the central of industry, not on the central of the education, etc. And then we just imagining to make the dignity to living in Jatiwangi. You know, if the people talking about the Bandung is have a brand, you know, if apapun produk yang dibuat di Bandung gitu akan laku, karena Bandung sudah punya martabat yang kuat gitu tentang kotanya, yang dibuat di Jogja apalagi yang di Jakarta gitu. Nah, we trying to make Jatiwangi to more powerful, to like have more dignity to living for next generation. Maybe enough, Mbak.
Oke, tadi Pak Ismail, welcome back again. Katanya mati lampu ya.
Iya nih, power cut.
Oke, ini mungkin singkat aja, mungkin Pak Ismail bisa nambahin, tadi ada yang nanya, what's the benefit that you actually aim to get from doing all this stuff in, because this is not an easy task to do that. Must be there something that you aim behind this. Tadi Pak Jai bilang, ini adalah kerja sosial ya, dengan for pahala, and then mungkin bisa untuk membuat legacy. Pak Ismal setuju dengan itu atau mau ada yang ditambahkan?
Mudah-mudahan sih. We will have, but yeah, at least I think it's more like it's how we survive. I think as a people who live in Jatiwangi, or like how to become more resilient. I mean, because the wave of transformation situation is very significant, I think. And then, yeah, of course, as a one who live in here, I think I don't want to imagine in Jatiwangi to become a next Karawang, for example, or Bekasi, that bit very crowded. So the aim is actually to survive. For me. Yeah.
All right. So it's a pure community movement probably for you, yang dari bawah dan memang ingin menyelamatkan. Okay, thank you. So I will invite Bu Indah yang kayaknya mau ada komen. Bu Indah ini dulu dosennya Pak Ismal ya? Waduh.
Iya nih.
Please Bu Indah.
Deg-degan nih.
Thank you very much Bu Roro, Pak Ismal, Pak Jai juga. Can you hear my voice?
Yeah,
because
clearly.
I'm using okay. Firstly, I would like to thank to Miss Jing Jiang and Professor Manfredo for in the earlier talks. I'm very sorry. I came very late, so I did not follow the whole of the materials. But I follow a bit about the from the presentations of Professor Jing Jiang about compare. Sorry, it's about Mr. Jiang speaks about Doctor Strange. Taking the Doctor Strange as a metaphor, and then I know that they are speaking about Starbucks and other things. But I'm sorry, maybe I lost some part of the presentations. I'm very sorry. But but I followed the whole of this JAV presentations. Somehow I feel that actually I just want to comment. I'm not asking or clarifying anything. I just feel that according to my opinion, that this story of JAV is much closer to the ideas of Doctor Strange story than Starbucks story. Because I feel that in JAV story, it is not about commodification. This is about surviving. It's about how to survive the identity, about surviving the livelihood of the people. And I think it is very clear also in the story, in the narrative of Doctor Strange, how he lost his ability, his potence due to the accidents, and then how he tried to revive, how he tried to revive his hands, and how he tried to do all things that make him transform from a doctor to a master. So, like I also there's also discussions about local heroes. Yes, I believe that this is a path of heroes, where people have to do something for others, and then there is a different kind of reward, which is not what is the reward for the commodification, Ibu Roro? It's like a benefit. I mean, a benefit is not the nomenclature in this case, but Pak Jai said pahala. So I mean, this is a different experience, and the relations between symbol, society, and then the reality is not simulacra here. This is the real life of the people, but they are transforming from the tile producer into something else which is whatever they try to call it. And then they also try to negotiate with the people outside their compound, and whatever the negotiations is, it results a different kind of entities that now this people of Jatiwangi try to live with. And this is actually what this is not simulacra, I believe. This is
That's
about
awesome.
the real life of the people Jatiwangi, which is then it is and then it is projected to many places, including in Bandung and other. And for us, the consumer, it is probably commodification for us. But for the people Jatiwangi, it is it is something to survive. So yes, there is local heroes. In fact, this is what I believe. There are still local heroes. I mean, if we don't want to be a local, if we don't want to be heroes, it doesn't mean that there is no local heroes.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
awesome
that's
comment. Thank you so much, Winda. What an appreciation for JAV from Winda, that this is the real example of local movement that try to regain tadi yang kayak Dr. Strange ya, regain apa yang pernah hilang. Dan bahkan mengenhance itu menjadi sesuatu yang lain. Thank you so much, Winda. Mungkin Pak Jai atau Pak Ismal hilang. Ingin merespon itu atau?
Cukup Bu Winda, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Winda. Okay, so we continue to another question ya. Kita masih punya, sebenarnya kita punya waktu sampai titik 11.30, nanti mungkin kita maksimalkan. Ada Ilham Akbar. Thank you for the presentation. My name is Ilham. Is there any research from JAS about products that can be used by Majalengka's government in their infrastructure development for public facility in the city. Apakah ada research tentang produk yang bisa dipakai pemerintah Majalengka di tataran city infrastructure development? Mangga, Pak Jai.
For now, we have like the form of bricks, like Ismal product also have a slow brick, like the brick without the burn, and then have in the one of the build in the middle of city, yeah. And then also we have some brick can be used in the for next year in the making a square in Jatiwangi, and then also making a square in the Jatisura village with the collaboration with Pak Agus dan teman-teman ITB. Yeah, we for now we have we have a product to support the Majalengka city development.
Okay, Ismal wanna add something? Apakah ada research tentang produk yang bisa digunakan di tataran pemerintah untuk mempercantik atau mendevelop Majalengka?
Yeah, actually that's the idea of the Kota Terracotta, yeah. Through several platforms that we make it. For example, we 2019 we have like Indonesian Contemporary Ceramic Biennale. We invite artists, designer, start to come, architect to ceramic artists to come to here to do research first, like to understand more the quality of our material, because Jatiwangi soil is like terracotta based soil, and then how it can be also using, for example, to make some tableware, what kind of element that we should add to our soil, that kind of there's a artist.
Oke, Pak Ismal kayaknya interrupted lagi ya. Tapi kita tadi udah tangkap poinnya bahwa that's the point of inviting even international artists to do research yang mungkin bisa akan mengembangkan produk dari Majalengka. Oke, kita benar ya, gitu maksudnya tadi ya Pak Jai ya, dari Pak Ismal tadi.
And now we have the government policy to every building every building in Majalengka city, in government building, we must be using the 13% product terracotta product from Jatiwangi. That's the good point for us and then for the people in Jatiwangi.
Okay, that helps to survive in terms of biar Jebor terus berproduksi gitu ya Pak ya. Nanti habis ini Bu Vera siang juga akan bicara, mungkin nanti hal-hal seperti ini bisa ditanyakan langsung mungkin ya ke Bu Vera tentang bagaimana. Okay. We don't have any more question, tapi kayaknya ada Pak Zuhdi want to ask something, please.
Yeah, thank you Bu Roro. Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Mr. Jai and Mr. Ismal. Since it is so this year, JAF is already 15 or 16 years, yeah. And I from Jiang presentation, we can see the importance of, it's not importance, the benefit of capitalism or global brand and mainstream economic force. Have JAF tried or want to make a plan to include or integrate terracotta city movement into a scheme or larger economic agenda. I mean, if we, of course, JAF has already built international relationship, but I guess it's still limited in art world to have a sustainable outcome from the movement. I think the role of capitalism, good capitalism, of course, is quite important in making sure how the movement will go. So I'm wondering what have JAF done or plan to integrate into that scene.
Oke, interesting. Apakah JAF mau menggunakan kapitalisme itu sendiri ya untuk kepentingan Majalengka dan Terakota ini? Emang nggak, Pak Jai atau Pak Ismal kayaknya nggak hang lagi, mungkin keputus lagi. Apakah ada ini Pak, usaha-usaha untuk mungkin membuka sesuatu yang berbau komersil?
Yeah, we have the plan to make some exhibition next year in Documenta in Kassel, German. We trying to present like a city development idea and the concept of the Terracotta City and present there as one of the art exhibition. Yeah, and we can a lot have a discussion there, and then we can have the collaboration and like simpelnya kita mau ngajak kerjasama gitu banyak orang di sana karena yang datang ke Kassel itu tidak hanya seniman, juga banyak dari beberapa petinggi negara. We just planning also to make the agenda like a summit there. The summit called New Rural Agenda. We talking about the rural area and then also talk for the example. We bring the Terracotta City idea as a concept of the city development. It come from the rural areas, and then in the summit we planning to inviting the beberapa petinggi negara dari mungkin sekitar 14 negara yang kita libatkan untuk terlibat di konferensi tingkat tinggi tersebut. Jadi kami mencari kemungkinan gitu, tapi dengan jalan yang kita punya, tidak dengan jalan industrial.
Oke. Mungkin tadi maksud Pak Yudi mungkin ini ya, kayak misalnya membuat warung kopi atau gimana gitu ya Pak Yudi ya, maksudnya?
No.
Atau apa? Saya itu go on.
Maksudnya sebagai ya sistem ekonomi kan, kalau misalnya movement itu atau creative movement kadang-kadang dia tidak mainstream gitu loh di dalam sistem ekonomi.
Nggak tahu, tadi saya kepikir ngomong warung kopi kok ke warung kopi ya. Maksudnya saya gini, tadi mungkin karena nyambung ke Starbucks. Maksudnya tuh mungkin apa yang ada di JAF itu bisa diintegrate ke dalam common ekonomi gitu loh ya. Warung kopi ada salah satunya mungkin. Dan saya cuma keinget di Melbourne itu Jawa Barat itu buka kafe, namanya kafe apa ya, lupa saya. Tapi dia memasarkan produk-produk kopi dari Jawa Barat. Maksud saya ya bisa dalam bentuk hal-hal yang mungkin mainstream, betul, kayak warung kopi itu mungkin ya Pak Jai. Tadi maksud saya kok tiba-tiba warung kopi.
Morning Glory.
Okay. So do we have any other question from the participant?
Oh, Bu Roro, mungkin I respond a little ya. Because I think it is important to calculate the mainstream economy, gitu loh. To integrate mainstream economy in our movement or JAF movement, because it is so powerful, and if we are not anticipating it, we will swallowed by it. That's what I comment.
Oke. Probably karena udah nggak ada pertanyaan ya. Probably I will close this session. But probably sedikit saja dari Pak Jai. Sebenarnya harapan ke depan apa ya dari JAV untuk perkembangan terakota ini tuh sebenarnya pengennya tuh ke arah mana? Apakah terus seperti ini atau dia akan menjadi seperti apa yang diharapkan?
Sebetulnya ide kota terakota itu bukan hanya diimajinasikan secara visual gitu doang gitu. Jadi kita banyak di dalamnya kita sedang banyak mendiskusikan. Halo Ais, mendiskusikan banyak hal.
Ya.
Soal bagaimana kota terakota itu apa yang harusnya menjadi kota terakota itu menjadi model percontohan kota gitu, bagaimana ide konsep pembangunan itu datang dari komunitas dan bagaimana kita bisa menjadi satu role model untuk kota ideal gitu, karena kita selalu membayangkan bagaimana idealnya hidup di sebuah kota gitu. Kami coba untuk memasukkannya ke dalam ide kota terakota gitu. Apa yang kami anggap ideal, apa yang kami anggap itu baik gitu untuk hidup di dalam sebuah kota, baik itu pendidikannya, kesehatannya, dan lingkungannya. Dan di dalam kota terakota kita sedang banyak mendiskusikan soal itu.
Oke, thank you Pak Jai. Mungkin sedikit Pak Ismal, tadi pertanyaan saya untuk menutup sesi ini, what is the ultimate goal atau apa yang sebenarnya ingin dicapai, harapan apa dari JAV ini dengan semua apa yang dilakukan?
Ya tadi sih pahala kali. But I think first I want to connecting first with the Zuhdi question. I think very interesting also as a trigger to how to imagining the new economic model. I think one of the if connecting again to Bararo question of the terracotta idea is also regarding that to imagine new economic model. But then I think also this maybe a change for us to imagining new model not only based on the commodity only. I mean, just like you have a product and you sell and then you gain a profit from there. But then how maybe there is lot we can expand our experiment live in Jatiwangi with our resources clay, but then also we can still develop, let's say, our city or our area with our resources, but then not trapped again into the capitalism mode. And then also because also now our situation is like the global capitalism as well now directly in the heart of our village now, like with the global investment. That's why probably one of the imagination to imagining again, can we also imagining the new way of investment, or like the new model of the investment? For example, maybe investment also can not only for the investment in the term of like make a factory, or maybe investment in the like land, community land ownership probably. So that kind of the terracotta is kind of the lab for us to experimenting another alternative model, even maybe like another index, probably how to measure, like for example, if Bhutan have gross happiness index, probably Jatiwangi, or even when like last week we like I have a chance to discuss with Bu Karlina Supeli, like he's like the philosopher and also like a cosmologist, and then I asking it's possible to make new cosmogony of in this contemporary era, because for us it's important to build again the relation with our resources clay. And then that's makes sense, because especially after this pandemic situation, to imagining again the new cosmology, and then maybe through this terracotta also we can talk with in that aspect as well. And yeah, I think.
Okay, so probably what you're saying is you want to move from money capital to social capital, or more like a cultural capital ya. Jadi cara melihat capital dari sesuatu yang
more
lain.
circular, I think more circular.
Okay, thank you so much. Since we don't have any more question, and I think it's been past an hour, I think we have to close the session. But before, I would like to invite all of you to turn on the camera, because Kansa will we will have a photo session. Thank you so much, Pak Sujai and Pak Ismal, for making time here and share with us. I hope they won't be the last project that we do together. Probably we are looking forward to have another session with you later. Okay, so yuk kita sekarang open your camera. Kita ada photo session mumpung ada Jeff. And Kansa, please lead.
Oke, Bro. Kalau semua sudah siap, kita tunggu dulu ya, karena beberapa ada yang belum buka. Sambil nunggu, saya juga informasikan jangan lupa nanti jam 1 kita ada sesi wawancara dengan Bu Vera. Nanti linknya saya kirim ke grup ya. Oke, udah. Is everyone ready? Kita mulai dari slide 1. 1, 2, 3. Oke, tunggu dulu. 1 slide lagi. Oke, slide kedua. 1, 2, 3. Oke, sudah Bu Roro.
Okay, sudah. Thank you so much, Kansa, for your help. Again, thank you Pak Jai and Pak Ismal, and for Jeff. Sukses selalu ke depan. Semoga semua aim-nya tercapai dalam waktu dekat, semoga nggak lama-lama. And teman-teman semuanya, abis ini nanti jam 1 mengingatkan lagi, jam ada Bu Vera, kemudian kita ada bicara dengan kubu desa masing-masing. So I think that's all for today. This session start. I will have to close. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam.
Makasih banyak.
Kang Ismal.
Sehat-sehat.
Sehat semua.
Ya.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Salam.
Sama-sama Pak, turun nuhun semuanya.
Ya.
Sehat-sehat.
Ya, sehat-sehat Mas
Ismal. Sehat juga Mas Jatisura.
Aku live ya. Thank you.